Hello everyone, Somber here. It's time for turn number 12 of my Warhammer game playing as Skavenblight. So I've already given orders, let's have a look at the turn. Completed research and conjuration, so that will let us cast summon earth power. Got a magic site in Mushwood. The Witch's Bog, I think that's 1 death, 1 water, so that's nice to have. And the Dormant Pretender Gods are awakening, so I might be running into God soon. My advantage of having an awake god is coming to an end. Let's have a look at the battles. So in Chibia, this is my force going and fighting heavy cavalry. Let's see how they do. Oof. So the warp lightning thrower does armor negating damage. You can see it just deleted one of the heavy cavalry there. That's really a big advantage of them, and I'm hoping to be able to use that against other nations. The problem is they're pretty inaccurate, and you can see they've already started hitting my own troops, and from that range, that's going to continue to be a problem. So I think my troops actually would have done fine here, killing the heavy cavalry and not really taking any casualties, but for the fact that the weapons teams are shooting them. But that's what it's like playing Skaven. So we rout them off fairly easily. Let's look at the casualties. A clan rat, 2 council guards, that's not great. Slinger and slaves, don't care about that. Yeah, it's mainly just the 2 council guards, it's a bit annoying. Off in the distance we've got the Chaos Dwarfs still expanding. I think everyone, or several people, have access to more kind of indie provinces. My expansion's basically over now, but there's people who are still able to expand. They might have sort of moved out in a circular pattern and encircled some more things first. So this is where my god was sent in against the wolves, and I know this is going to be very straightforward. They're not going to be able to get past her repel. The fear will hit them. Let's have a look what effect that fear is having. If we look at the wolves next door, yeah, morale not gone down yet. Yeah, there's some morale that's dropped down because of the fear. You'd think the fear would actually be more effective. I think it was somewhat lucky with it early on, being as effective as it was. But anyway, straightforward, doesn't take any hits, kills all the wolves. And then off in the distance, we see this is a ping by Izta to have a look at the throne. But it's nice that we're able to see it because we had someone there. This is the throne on our border. Not the easiest looking province. Got a lot of lance charge at the front, and then a really large number of Yamabushi who are excellent in melee. The soulless don't really matter. And then mage-wise, we've got a white mage, 2 death, and a nature 2 Jigami. Kind of an interesting throne. Yeah, so that's going to be fairly tough to take. It's mainly the Yamabushis are the problem there. And then we've got some unexpected events. So Coast Haven, we get yet another Warpstone seam. I think I might want to check the probability of that happening actually, because that seems like it's triggering a little bit too much. So I'm just going to go and have a quick look at that. I'll just pause this for a second. So I went and had a look in the mod file, and I've set that to be 4% per province controlled by the Skaven per turn. So each province has a 4% chance of that triggering, which I think is a bit high, and I might have to take that down to 3 or 2%. So I've made a note of that. This being a game with a lot of mod nations, or all mod nations, there's going to be some things that are come out of this that show that things need tuning or changing. There might be some things that are overpowered or underpowered. So it's kind of interesting for finding those things out. And then we've got a loss of Dominion over in Titan's Wrath Peaks, and then quite a nice event. The winter's over. Have some gold. And then worldwide enchantment rituals cheaper this month. Not really something that we can make a great deal of use of. But then we've got our Palisades up. So let's have a quick look at that first. So I've decided to build a lab here. I didn't have the money to build a lab and upgrade it and buy troops, so I'm going to start upgrading it next turn. But for now, I'm building a lab. and I'm just started recruitment of Eshin assassins. So they're pretty good assassins. They've got wall climber, I believe. They've got swimming. They can also act as spies. So very nice advantage the Skaven have in these. And they're only one commander recruitment point, but 90 gold. So until I've got the lab up and maybe upgraded it to get some mages going, this is what I'm going to be recruiting here, and hopefully going to use those to support. Maybe even taking some thrones with them by wiping the commanders out. I'm not sure. One of the other reasons to build the lab is that all of our weapons teams require labs. Yeah, so getting these cranked out, they're still restricted to one per turn per fort. But yeah, getting those going would be good. So I've got scouts still moving around. That's fairly uninteresting. Over here, this is the province I just took from the heavy cavalry, so I'm bringing these guys back. And let's have a look at the Witch's Bog. Yeah, so that's one water, one death. The main thing that I'm doing really is I really am pretty much preparing to attack Bretonnia now. My sneaking troops have already passed through, pretty big amount of them there. They're going to pass on into the middle of their empire. And I've got some other small groups coming through. So my hope is I'm going to have multiple groups that are big enough to beat small amounts of province defense, and we'll do a kind of mass attack taking several of the provinces. I've also got my god moving over. They can't move over to attack over the mountain pass because they don't have mountain survival. But they can move in and will come in on this fort. So we can see here that they're upgrading the fort and they've been building foot knights. So they're probably going to be taking that as a choke point. But because Skaven have mountain survival, I'm able to move, some of them can move quite far. Like for instance, if I wanted to move this group, it's not big enough to bother moving in, but I can move straight in there. Yeah, so sneaking in some guys here, another couple of small groups of clan rats. And yeah, that's basically the plan at the moment. Get into a position we can threaten them. Still building more warlock engineers to try and supercharge my research. I really do need to get my research going very quickly. And I'm cutting down a little bit on my purchasing of troops just to be able to afford some infrastructure, but still getting the maximum amount of council guard and warp lightning throwers and warp fire teams, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to need them to take out the Grail Knights, which is the main thing I'm worried about with Bretonnia. So yeah, kind of an interesting set of things I've got to prepare to take out Bretonnia. Gonna have this Scryer Warlock move around because he's got one in each of those 3 paths and just gonna search for more sites. But we've got great income. A thing I could do at the moment is summon up some Banes. I think Banes are 7, and let's have a look. If I cast, yeah, Banes are 7, and then Whites are 20. So it would be very expensive, but we could get a Bane, and a group of Whites to help us out on our campaign. Not sure. It's good to leverage gems early, but also they're very valuable later on, obviously. But yeah, my main priority is making sure that I'm doing well early. I'm less worried about the Skaven later on in the game. Anyway, that's pretty much it for now. Thanks for watching. Hello and welcome back everyone. Let's have a look at turn number 13 of my Warhammer game. So no battles this turn. We've got our first level of evocation. Going to get evocation 2 pretty quick too. And then we've got some events. So in Ascends, lovely event. Considering I've got Misfortune, that's fantastic. 254 gold. Land of Plenty, 3 water gems, which is just nice. And then Naggarond, 2 blood slaves, which is, it's fine. I could do a blood sacrifice with that, which is nice. And then worldwide, it's still enchantment rituals achieved this month. So let's have a look at what's going on. Well, there's really 2 fronts I want to look at in this turn. One is the Bretonnian front, and the other is Altdorf. So previously I hadn't been saying very much about Altdorf, and I wasn't really planning on interacting with them very much, but you can see that they have built up their forces on the border with us, and I can't think of a reason that they would be doing that really. Like there's kind of some not very likely reasons they might be doing that. Like if they were building a fort there and they really wanted to make sure it didn't get taken down, or if this was just a good place to build up troops, or if they were going to move north and go for this throne. But it seems very unlikely that any of that would be the case. I think they're pretty likely to attack me, and yeah, if they are going to, then an interesting thing is if they're going to attack, if they're issuing the orders this turn and they're going to attack next turn, then I don't think that this group would actually be able to reach this province, Coast Haven. They'd be attacking Osens. So, assuming they're attacking Osens, that's done for. They'll just take their province easily. But if this group is also moving in, and it's only around 33 infantrymen, then and they're attacking Coast Haven, well, already had some defense in it, so I've boosted that up to 20. Kind of done a PD dump there. I'm recruiting a handful of clan rats. And I'm sending my assassin down, because the assassins actually have a little bit of leadership. I'm sending the assassin down with 10 clan rats, just to kind of beef it up a little bit. In fact, I might just set those to go and attack rear. So yeah, if they are attacking there, it's quite possible that that province defense, which is not of the best troop types, but it's still, they'd be okay against Free Company. That might be enough to repel them there. So we'll see. I would prefer if they didn't attack me because of what I've got planned for the Bretonnian border, but if they do, I might have to kind of change things around. So it's slightly delaying what I'm doing on Bretonnia because of this. So I'm drawing various forces back. There's a lot of maneuvering my forces around and checking the supplies. This is a useful little tip for people. If you're moving into a province, you can see how many supplies are available. And if you check the army that's moving there, you can see how many supplies it uses. Giant rats are very hungry. They've got a gluttony one, so they use 2 supplies rather than 1. Yeah, so I'm being careful with that, but I'm basically moving my forces here, sneaking more into the Bretonnian lands. It's possible that some of them will be caught, at which point we'll immediately be straight into the war. So I've got my god still here. I think they can see my god, but they probably can't. They haven't seen much of my troop movements because they've mostly been sneak moving. And you can see this here was hiding before it started sneak moving, so they haven't really seen that. So they may think that there's an opportunity for them to attack there. They may not know that I'm building troops up there, but they can see my god, and therefore they might have moved these knights that have now appeared in Rivia, which I think were doing some duty down here before, and near where the Ogres border is. Yeah, these knights have massed here. Now, it could be they've gone there because that's the nearest to this border they could move to, or they wanted to be able to move to multiple provinces, like depending on where they got attacked or where the threat emerged. Or it could be that they're going for this throne. Now, I really hope they're going for that throne. If they are, that's good news for me. If they're not and they've seen my god here, they might be thinking, the god's going to attack there, so they'll move the knights in. They would be a good counter to the god, I think. They got very high morale. We can have a look at that unit actually if we go to Pretenders of the World and then look at the Bretonnian nation overview. You've got the Grail Knights, so you can see excellent morale, which makes it harder to repel them, and it makes fear not as useful on them. They're sacred. They have magic weapons. They hit very hard with the heavy lance. Yeah, just in general, very accurate, very hard hitting, but quite expensive. Yeah, so they definitely be a threat to my god. But the thing that I'm really hoping is that if they do think there's going to be a fight, they're going to think it's going to be here, since my god's there. This is the place they've upgraded their fort here. This is the place they're most worried about. They've got a temple. That's the place that it would make sense for me to try and take. It's it's a very big province as well. Just a very nice province for them, and would be fantastic for me to take. But instead, I'm sneaking my forces in. I've got forces moving this far south, and what I'm probably going to try and do when I attack them is, instead of taking this, I might skip it entirely, just threaten it with the god, but then move back, use the god defensively, and just sweep these provinces if they're unguarded, because I can then trace income across this mountain pass, which I think they may not have realised that I've been moving troops in through there. And yeah, if I can just hit all of these, and take them, even if they then end up getting taken back. I think that's a good kind of morale hit to the player, and it'll get us a bit of income. The other thing is that I've been talking to the Ogres, and you can see they've massed here, and it looks like they're going to be moving in to start attacking Bretonnia in the south. So we'll see. The thing that I'm most worried about is if Bretonnia and Altdorf have formed a pact to attack me. Yeah, that would be a problem. Yeah, so quite a bit of movement going around here, moving the forces in. You can see that in general, like there's some fairly tough forces I'm moving in with Stormvermin and Council Guards, but then there's also quite a few of these that have got kind of 15 to 20 just basic clan rats. And I've been looking at their levels of province defense they have. Here's this one's very small. Appears to be quite well organized, I believe, is anything 6 and over, so they're probably just 6. Most of them are like that. It's a shame there's not more that are just one officer and a few loyal henchmen, which means it's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think. Yeah, so hoping to kind of get a strike in there. Now, because I'm not actually making an attack this turn, if none of them get caught, Bretonnia doesn't attack me, and Altdorf launches a big attack on this flank. I do still have the option of taking my troops back, retreating them back across. It's a bit of a journey to get back, but I think I will probably have to do that because they'll sweep all these provinces and try and take this fort off me. So yeah, we'll see. We've got a few extra weapons teams and council guard that I'm kind of I was gonna move them across here and maybe start site stitching here, but I think instead I am just gonna stay in the capital for now, and then I'll react if they move in. I'm recruiting a plague priest, which is again just good for leading Stormvermin around in general. But yeah, still building lots of weapons teams and doing the same up here, starting to get some weapons teams and some resourcing Skaven. I do now have a lab, so I could start building mages, but yeah, I think I want to have some Molder Packmasters who are very cheap, and then they give you, in battle, they summon 2d6 plus 2 giant rats, and they have 3 giant rats they summon per month, so it'll just give me an extra bit of chaff that I can use. Really, the things that I'm fighting against, the things that I'm worried about, it's basically all heavy cavalry. Altdorf, which is the Imperial faction, has tons of heavy cavalry over here, Order Knights and Demigryph Order Knights, which are very nasty. And then there's Grail Knights in the south, so it's basically build lots of chaff and then get weapons teams behind them to throw lightning, fire, poison, stuff that's armor piercing and armor negating. So yeah, that's the plan. I guess we'll see how this turn works out. Thanks for watching.